Welcome to Canned, the marketing podcast. I'm Ben from Human Digital.
And I'm Steph from Q Marketing. This week, we're diving into a debate that splits marketers right down the middle. Print isn't dead, but does it still matter in a digital-first world?
We'll cover print's enduring impact and why digital fatigue has even Gen Z craving offline moments, and the rise of Phygital campaigns that blend print with QR codes, AR and AI personalization.
So tune in for a fast-paced 40-minute conversation where we tackle print head-on.
Let's get into it. Happy Friday, Steph.
Happy Friday, Ben. We're back in our Friday slot. How's it going today?
It's good. The beard is still here. My lighting is quite strong this episode, but yeah, we'll go with it. How's your week been, Steph?
I don't think that my week has been as frantic as yours. It's been a really great week. It's been school holidays. So I've just been chilling with my kids. I have taken a trip to Costco. Mm-hmm. That's an exercise in marketing, if ever there was one.
And you took a trip down the stairs, I hear.
Yeah. Okay. So for anyone who is watching this, Ben insisted that I show everyone. So I had a spa with my girlfriend earlier this week. It was raining. I went to take the rubbish out afterwards. And for anyone that can see this, I have hematomas on my arms. Looks like I've been in a really bad bar fight. So that's been my week. You'd be surprised at how much you use your elbow for, and it's really impacted my ability to exercise at Les Mills.
Oh, ouch. But you did. How's your workout regime been this week? Are you on pause now?
No, I've just been doing kind of planks, but only with like one arm. I've been a bit lopsided. And then today I went and did a high ropes course with the kids. So that was interesting. That was fine. You don't need elbows for a high ropes course. It was great.
Well done. What else have you been up to this school holidays week?
Well, that's been about it really. Kids have been on screens because I've got teenagers. So that's been the biggest thing. And then there's been, you and I both went to the Marketing Association Platinum Club event where you did get up on stage. Do you want to sort of share what you spoke about?
Yeah, so where I was promoting the Marketing Association Top Talent Marketing School, it's been going for a few years now, and they have students from the University of Auckland and now a few from AUT as well, which is great. Oh. So we hired Joyce, who was our intern back in October 2024. So she was part of the MA Top Talent Marketing School in that year. And we brought her back on for a full internship in January 2025. And she's now a member of our full-time team. So Joyce is amazing. She loves Labubu. She's actually the reason why Labubus have sparked my interest. She has a background in science and marketing as well as psychology, which is a really cool combo for a marketer.
What's the science behind the Labubu, Ben, please? Has Joyce enlightened anyone?
She did write an article on it, and we can share that in the notes.
That'd be amazing. And so I think one of the pitches for the this adopt a university student as a try before you buy mentality, that was kind of the general gist, wasn't it? It's a great idea.
It is, yes. So I think you commit to a week, or essentially the hours of a full-time week. I think that can be spread over a month or so, depending on capacity of the student and the team. And yeah, it's a great way where the student can get experience within an agency or your marketing team, and you get a student for a week or so.
And it's really wonderful because actually I've been listening to a bit of commentary lately talking about how hard it is for those aged between sort of 23 and 27. The job market for that age group is really, really, really tough. So yeah, I think it'd be awesome if there's a way that businesses can help these people kind of try before they buy and get under the hood a little bit of companies and see what they're all about. And then also, like you say, they can have a place in the business as well, which is fantastic.
So we'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. I think it's closing soon, so there's not a lot of time, so it may not be in time for this episode, but it is something that the Marketing Association runs every year, so it is great to do that at this time.
Yep. Awesome. And there was a really good topic, actually. So it wasn't just talking about the grad program or the uni program, but actually, so why we were there with the MA on Wednesday was to talk about, so we had ADMA, which is, I actually cannot remember what it stands for. Do you remember, Ben?
I don't know.
We can We can figure that out. We'll put that in the show
Ads,
notes,
ads
shall we?
and marketing, maybe? ADMA? I
It
don't
was
know.
definitely something else. This will show everyone that our show's not scripted. But one of the pieces of information that they presented, which was super interesting, so they'd done a really large study in Australia, so it was over 1,000 participants, and basically to look at marketers and how well they understood the profession and parts of marketing that they are really comfortable in describing. And there was some incredibly low results when they sort of asked through a breadth of industries and verticals and different size businesses. And some of the results were quite outstanding in terms of, I think it was, no one got more than, the highest mark was 44%, but things like listing the 4 Ps of marketing. How do you calculate ROAS, etc. That's slightly harder, but you would expect that every marketer would understand what the 4 Ps were. But the other thing that came out is that they just generally speaking talked about how the uptake of AI far outweighs and exceeds people's capability to actually use it. And so there's a job to be done for businesses to, first of all, ensure that their team and staff members are capable and understand the risks of using any AI tool. So that's a bit of training involved, but also the ethics and the responsibility around it. So they really highlighted the gap there. And that's so true. And we had Astrid Burgess from ANZ, who we talked about last week, I think, when we were talking about CMOs. And she said, one of the challenges is if you don't take people on the AI journey with you as a business, you run the risk of them leaving, because actually as individuals, we sit here and if we don't have the opportunity to learn AI, well, then people are leaving to go and find companies that will support that. But then also, if a company has quite strict IT policies and AI policies, actually don't be surprised if people are using their own personal AI at the same time. So I think that was, we know that to be true, but it was really interesting to see that was backed up by a fairly solid piece of research.
So while you've been talking, Steph, I found out that ADMA stands for the Association for Data-Driven Marketing and Advertising. And it is Australia's largest marketing and advertising association.
Perfect. There we go. Great work, Ben.
Brilliant.
And what else has been happening in your week?
So we are partnering with Orange Sky, which is a charity based in Australia and New Zealand. They provide key services for people experiencing homelessness, and this includes showers and laundry and someone to talk to. So yeah, this is an organisation we've been working with for a while, very close to our hearts at Human Digital. So we're helping them with a campaign for World Homelessness Day, which is on Friday the 10th of October. The campaign will run for a whole month. So we're leading the campaign for both Australia and New Zealand. So the team has been busy with that on top of all of the other work they're doing.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a very real problem, right? Both here and it's and there's been lots of news articles about that too. It's a really unfortunate set of circumstances.
And homelessness affects different people at different times. It's something that is potentially something that could impact all of us at some point. And that's why it's so close to our hearts at Human Digital. And especially in times where we go into challenging economic times, there's even more of a burden and more of a need for these services. So we're really excited to be a partner with Orange Sky, providing pro bono services for them.
That's awesome. Okay, on to what's been happening in the markets. You did originally have a list of about 10 things.
Yes.
What have we chosen as our hot topics for the week?
Yeah, so a couple of hot topics. A lot of them are American driven. So the first one is Jimmy Kimmel. So for those that don't know, I lived in New York for 4 years. So I'm very close to American politics and I follow them a lot, and I watch a lot of talk shows and American media. And Jimmy Kimmel's show on ABC is one of the ones I follow a lot. Creates a really good platform, a lot of humor around political events and other events that impact us all. Yeah. So Jimmy Kimmel, his late night show returned to ABC on Tuesday after a 6-day suspension. And the suspension followed backlash over the comments he made regarding the assassination of Charlie Kirk. That sparked pressure from political figures and warnings from the FCC. And ABC has lifted the suspension. I watched that show last night. I had a couple of teary moments. It was really moving and
Okay,
great
great.
to see him back on the air. But yeah, there are some affiliates that have refused to carry the show, so it hasn't returned all over the US, but at
Mm,
least he's back on the air. So that just makes you feel that there is a bit of hope for the
yeah,
US, which is really good.
amazing. Okay, and what else have we got?
The other thing is, and I'm always curious at new forms of marketing. People are getting tired of the typical social media feed and ads in social media feeds and on billboards and, wherever they are. And I'm always curious where a new format pops up.
Yep.
And one thing that popped up on my social as well as on YouTube was Gucci's The Tiger short film. And so this was really high on all of my algorithms.
Yep.
Uh, and mostly organic, so I haven't seen anything paid for this yet. But essentially, what Gucci has done is, I don't know if it's instead of a fashion show, but they essentially have recorded this short film with Demi Moore and some other famous characters.
I've actually seen this as well. And normally, what we've discovered, by the way, for anyone who's listening, is that Ben and I have completely different algorithms.
Oh, I
We
do.
meet up every week, and whatever is in my feed is often completely different to what Ben is seeing. So actually, yes, I have seen this.
So this is a film directed by Spike Jonze and Helena Region. I can't pronounce
Yeah,
those.
I feel like it's Spike Jones, but
Spike Jones. Yep. So, and rather than a conventional runway, Gucci premiered its spring summer collection for 2006 called La Familia. And it's through a film which has Demi Moore. And so she is this matriarch of a stylized Gucci family navigating identity and appearance and in a discord. So it's kind of like White Lotus-y. It's very on trend. And the launch took place during Milan Fashion Week. And yeah, it's a blend of brand building, storytelling, characters. You must see it. It's very, very well done.
can I just say, wasn't the last thing that Demi Moore was in was The Substance? Did you see that?
Yes, and I love the substance. Amazing. And the substance is such a play on everything that is happening in society. And it's
Yeah,
happened for a while, all of the pressure that women and everyone is in to conform to, the standards that are being set in media and marketing,
yeah.
where, we are setting these standards. So yeah,
So this
brilliant.
is not as terrifying as that, is what you're saying.
No, not at
Okay.
all. No, it's very fun, and it does cover. This is a troubled family that they're playing. This is not your average family.
Okay.
It covers topics of AI. It covers fashion. It covers alcohol, substance use. It's not for kids, that's for sure. But it's great, and obviously the fashion is exceptional.
Cool.
The shots are amazing. The characters are great. Yeah, it's a treat. It's a
Okay.
real treat.
So I'm going to bring it back local because that's where I'm sitting. So I love to call out really good advertising. It's kind of my thing, and there's stuff that brings me joy. I've been really impressed with the Sparks new ad. And as we were prepping for the show, you said that you hadn't seen it.
I may have seen it, but tell us about it, Steph.
Right. So I used to work for Spark. I actually worked for Spark before it was Spark. I worked when it was Telecom, when I was there for the brand refresh of Spark. And back in the day, we did large, like long format 2-minute ads launched on a Sunday, $1 million to produce. Saatchi and Saatchi with the agency, huge. I haven't seen anything like that from Spark for quite some time. And so that's what's really cool about this. It's almost like going back to the big budget storytelling arc. So the new tagline for Spark, this is really interesting. So I actually was, when I was doing a rebrand for a large business a couple of years ago, we were trying to get to a tagline. And I wrote in an email a couple of taglines and I said, name the brand, name the companies these are for. And Spark had one for a long, long, long time and nobody knew what it was. So they have changed their tagline and it's the strapline for the ad. And it's called It's Better with Spark. And the ad itself is the story. So everything's better Spark, right? The connectivity, and it's done, the storytelling in it is awesome. So basically, these two women are driving in a car and one lady's got no reception. So the driver gives her phone and the car breaks away and becomes a quarter car if you can imagine, like just part of your car breaks away and it's just you sitting in the passenger seat going on adventures with your quarter of a vehicle. So
Love that.
what's cool about it is it's broken convention. It looks really different because this is the other thing. Insurance ads, telecommunication ads, they're boring. They often are same. There's nothing to interrupt you. It's like, oh, my network, it's great, connections, blah, blah. This looks really different and it's really engaging. And they've clearly spent a lot of money on on above the line media because there are billboards and ad shells everywhere on this. So I think, I'm a big fan of creative, or like a really big storytelling arc, but it's working really well in the print side as well in the ad shells, which actually leads us quite nicely into our topic today.
Yes, Steph, we're talking about print. We're going back. So, it used to be, let's rewind maybe. Should we rewind 10 years? If you were a brand on the leading edge of marketing, you were going digital. You were Facebook. Are you in Google? Are you running Google ads? Recently, are you in LinkedIn? Now, everyone is there. Everyone is in Facebook. Everyone is in Instagram. Everyone is in LinkedIn. And now, to be different, we're going back. We're going back to print.
And can I also just say that when Ben suggested this topic, I was like, how the hell are we going to fill 30, 40 minutes talking about print? Surprisingly, I feel like I think we've got a lot of stuff to cover. It's actually, this is the one, normally I say, this is amazing. What a great topic. I'm going to think we're going to surprise ourselves with this today, because as we've done a bit of a deep dive into print, it's kind of everywhere. It's not as dead as you might think. And there's lots of reasons to use it.
And I really like the example you gave, Steph, about doing a mail drop and the perception that it's not green.
Yeah, I was telling Ben. So I used to work for a company that was in the business of sustainability. Literally, we ran recycling centres. And bear with me on the story. We wanted to do a localized campaign to grow uptake of green waste bins. There was a driver that went around and picked up the bins anyway. And it's much the same as kind of, you see something and if your neighbour's got it, you're like, that must be really good. I'll get that brand. And so if you're thinking about green waste bins, you look at your neighbours out on the curb. It's the best form of advertising you can actually get. So I proposed that we did a localized drop of flyers. And the business at the time was like, no, we can't do that. We're against print. We're against paper. We can't do that. And in actual fact, I spoke to the head of sustainability, and he said, look, compared to everything else that goes on with greenhouse emissions and all of the other things that happen in this business, a flyer drop is not the thing that's going to make the difference in our sustainability report. So I think what that opens up is a line of conversation around, I don't think necessarily paper production is the thing. I mean, yes, we should be mindful of unnecessary printing of things, but I don't know that. I think in some cases, as you rightly pointed out, Ben, could be more sustainable than some of what was the other things that we were talking about the other day.
A laptop and the cost of running a laptop.
Yeah.
All of the data centers that are powering these ad systems, they are not as green as we think.
No, and look, like every time you type something into AI to ask it for, what are you going to have for dinner, I'd suggest to you that might be using up slightly more power than your print media. So we live in a digital world. Why do we think print's important?
Print is definitely important to cut through. I mean, when you can't get attention in a scroll or on a phone or on a laptop. If you're outdoor, for example, or you've got a physical brochure, you've captured that person's attention. I think about one of my favorite pieces of print is the In-Flight magazine. And I am a big fan of both Qantas and Air New Zealand. I love it. They're glossy. They have amazing photography. They have some good stories. Yeah. I research about my trip. They will have normally some, luxury items, like they'll have, an expensive watch and a beautiful dress.
Stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All of those aspirational things. And it's fun, and it's a bit of an escape.
I 100%, I actually couldn't agree with you more on this point. And over time in various roles that I've held, I'll use the Cura magazine as an example. What a great place to capture people. Particularly if you've got a New Zealand brand, first of all, you've got a captive audience for 1 hour if you're just doing a domestic flight, but you also get international flights. The quality of products that are in that magazine are great. The editorials are amazing. I cannot tell you how many times I have taken a photo of an article or a product or a destination recommendation on my phone, and that has led me to then go and purchase that thing. So
And thank you, Steph, for not ripping out the page. Oh my God.
Oh, well, actually, Ben, on that note, there was a campaign, I think it was last year, and I think it was by Northwear. They had an ad and they said, please rip this out. They specifically said, rip out this page, and it was a competition. So you take out the page and like go on an adventure, because they're an outdoor clothing brand, go on an adventure and show us a picture of where you are, and take a photo, and you go on the draw to win something. And at that time, I was doing a whole lot of great walks. And so I actually did rip the page out, and then I just, it got stuck in my handbag for a period of time. But that is you wouldn't get that with scrolling through a digital display ad. So I think this whole idea of what print can do is it can be a far more engaging experience if you've got the right message in the right place, in the right environment.
Definitely. And speaking of travel as well, a lot of hotel chains now have magazines. Again, you come into your hotel room. What are you going to do in the local area? And there's a beautiful magazine or guidebook sitting there waiting for you, full of amazing restaurants and things to do. This is used a lot with cities like Auckland and Melbourne and
Yep.
Sydney. You're coming into the airport. You're picking up a little pocket guide or a map of your city. And these things are really powerful, and they're physical, and people take them and they refer to them, and they're really relevant.
Yeah, I agree. And the first thing I do when I check into a hotel is I get that guidebook and I learn. That's the very first thing that I do. So I think, look, I am a huge fan of print. The other thing, this secret thing about me, Ben, is controversially, I'm a really big fan of junk mail. And so I've been known, because sometimes I didn't live on the best street in the neighborhood. So I would go and take the dog for a walk, and I would go to other rich streets, and I would take their junk mail and I would take it home.
Controversial.
I'm
sure that's a crime, Steph. I'm pretty sure stealing mail from someone's mail, it's a federal crime. Call the police.
I think it's reading mail. So back in the day, and I would still do this now, but now I've got a phone that takes photos. I would cut out those little coupons, or I'd cut out that's the other thing. Brochures. So in retail, this is another point to land. If you're in retail, actually sometimes that dwell time and sitting with a printed catalogue is a better way to kind of understand what's on offer. And do you know who does a lot of printed brochures?
Yes, they do. And they have them in store. I've picked a couple of them up.
What have you done with them?
I've read through them and I've looked to see. I mean, I'm a big fan of Chemist Warehouse, and they have everything, and they do their magazines really well, and they know how to do a good promotion. They also have TVs at the end of every aisle that is all of them with sound on, blasting out, the latest supplement. Like, Chemist Warehouse know how to do promotion. Their ads are great. Their website's great. Their end caps are great. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
Steph, Chemist Warehouse is a masterclass in marketing.
I thought there's an episode just in Chemist Warehouses. Yeah.
There
I could go on. I've got things to say, but I'm not going to say them now.
Can we get Dan Carter, please? Can we get Dan Carter?
I've got an issue with the way they do the makeup on the models for Chemist Warehouse. Okay. But having said that, so the other thing I'm going to call out, if we go back to the kind of other ways that printed media really, really works, bloody love a street poster. Love a street poster that tells me about concerts that I might go to, because otherwise, I mean, yes, I can get recommendations in my inbox, but I think that's also really powerful. I think street posters should, where they're appropriate and where you've got localized messaging, I think print is a really powerful medium in that space.
Yes, and speaking of street posters, there's a lot of creativity to be had. I've seen street posters where they go outside the box, if you like. I've seen a recent one with a cleaning product which has spaghetti spilling onto the street and different stains. And there was one recently for a pizza, I think, that you were helping with, Steph. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, that's correct. So for Hell Pizza, we launched a pizza called Dubious, and that pizza came with, it was a smoked pork pizza that came with a free baggie of herbs, sage and oregano. And in order to illustrate the herbs that we were putting on that pizza, we did a special build on K Road, which was a hydroponic, looked like basically a hydroponic setup where we planted sage and oregano, and that won some awards. So it was great.
It did.
Yeah.
And there was a car beneath it, wasn't there, for a bit?
Yeah, we had a hearse.
Yes, it was very cool. The whole thing was
cool.
was very cool. I walked past a couple of times and I thought, yeah,
It was
I
awesome.
love seeing, and I think this is what's amazing about marketers. We have so many ideas. What is a billboard? And, tell the finance team, yeah, billboard. They
Mm,
think about a piece of print going inside that billboard. Marketers are like, no, no, no,
yeah.
we're going to hotbox a hearse.
And then, and the other thing, just to call out probably about things like static builds like that in print, the other downside to it, and I think the argument, I think the move to, if we talk about that move to digital, it's
Mm.
because it was really easy to measure. So it's really easy to go to your CFO or to your CEO and say, yeah, that's great. Look at, like, we've got these many clicks and we got this row and all the rest of it on our website. That was amazing. It is often harder to do that and to demonstrate it with print.
I
However,
disagree. I disagree, Steph. I think the amount of data you can get from a billboard today, so there's some pretty cool tech that they're loading into billboards, including cameras,
oh yeah,
Wi-Fi trackers, like number plate readers. Like the
yes.
data that you can get now on a billboard is mind-blowing.
Actually,
Mind-blowing.
yeah, yeah. We had another idea for Hell Pizza, which I won't give away, but that used number plate recognition, which was quite cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got digital billboards now as well. You've got print, but one of the brands that I love is a brand out of Europe, which recycles the sides of trucks as well as like that billboard material and
Oh,
turns them
that's
into
really cool.
bags.
Yeah.
And so there's cool stuff. Yes, a lot of these billboards are made of plastic because that's what they have to
Skids
be made
are.
of.
Yeah.
The skins are to withstand the weather. But there are a lot of companies that are turning those skins into really cool pieces of fashion and luggage.
We used to do that on Corona. When this is back, I was working on Corona 12 years ago. And with the billboard skins, we would turn them into dry bags.
Brilliant.
So that was really cool. So yes, there are definitely things that you can do. The other thing I was going to say is I want to make the case for, like, going back to Hell Pizza and actually any QSR restaurant. I'm sure we've all had Domino's flyers and all sorts of things in our letterbox with offers. We have this, often they're franchise based, and so it's called local store marketing. So if you've got a local, and that might be your local lawnmower or that might be your local pizza shop, it works really well to put a flyer in someone's letterbox because it's an easy thing to chuck on the fridge and you go, cool, I'm going to get that offer, your local curry house or whatever. We have moved away from that and moved into the digital space, and that's actually made local marketing more difficult. So I think I'm a proponent for having a really good balance, and I think sometimes you can make a case to go, yeah, let's just do a printed version, because actually you can be very clear about who you're targeting and where it's going, and it's a leave behind piece of material that's going to have a longer shelf life, I think, than which just now this is reminding me of fridge magnets from real estate agents.
Yeah. And one thing that you won't know about me, Steph, is one of my first jobs was delivering pamphlets, and it was the most godforsaken job I've ever had. Essentially, we got a stack of these printed commercials. Not only did we have to deliver them, we had to fold them as well. It was absolutely awful, but
So
it
I think
taught me.
I know what job this was. It was a circular distribution.
It was.
Yeah,
It was.
did you leave them? Did you sometimes dump them and leave them on the?
No, no.
Okay.
I came from a good Christian family, Steph,
Okay.
and we folded and delivered those pamphlets.
So yeah, that happened in our family. At not the weird that we'd worked for circular distribution. It was often a first job. It paid terribly.
They were terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it taught me good work ethic. It told me that if you commit to something, you follow through. You
Yeah.
fold those pamphlets and you deliver them. And then I graduated. I moved up to delivering a paid newspaper. So I delivered pamphlets, then I delivered free newspapers, and then I went into paid, and then I got a job at the service station.
I think you've lived a classic Kiwi, the Kiwi dream there.
Very Kiwi. Although I don't think a lot of those jobs don't exist now.
No.
I think paper rounds do, but, gas stations, there's not many attendant jobs now. They've kind of all
Well,
gone automated.
it goes back to my point around why it's so hard for people to find jobs. And the other thing, well, in some ways it's good though, because we've got paid peanuts and the minimum wage is it's much more palatable now. Minimum wage is actually pretty decent, which, yeah. But you're right.
I'm pretty sure I got paid $5 an hour at some point in my life.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good.
I'm a bit older than Ben, and I started on $4.89. Actually, we're really taking a turn. But what I will tell you is, I worked in the meat department at the supermarket and I got paid 20 cents more than the checkout people, and boy, did I lord it over them with that 20
Oh,
cents. And
wow. Wow.
moving on. Okay. But what about Gen Z? Do you think there's any relevance for, the younger generation, or is this just an old person's game? Are we literally just speaking to the boomers here?
No, I think everyone, like this cuts through, and we've got people as well that are kind of revolting against social media. They're detoxing, they're deleting apps.
Yeah.
I've seen some people that get rid of their smartphone and move to, some kind of Nokia flip phone.
Snake.
Yeah, playing Snake. So people are fatigued. People are anxious. They're tired of the rage bait that is going out on these platforms. And yeah, sometimes the only way to get through to them now is with print media.
Yeah. And look, and I agree. And I think it's tangible and it's standout. I think one of the other places that print really, really works is in that luxury space.
Mm,
Because when you're working on a luxury brand, it's quite hard to get a luxury cue from just living in the digital world.
mm,
And so there's elements of when you go and buy something and you've got the packaging, and so that becomes part of your whole experience of with a brand. So you think about unboxing an Apple product, for example, the
mm,
ripping off of the tab. There's some real like the whole way that Apple, for example, has designed its packaging, it fits with their entire ethos all the way through the line from their advertising down to the product experience.
mhm.
I would be, if we're thinking about print and print mediums, the Tiffany blue box is another really great example of how you take it is an absolute touch point of that brand.
And I think we're going to have to do a whole episode on packaging, Steph.
Love packaging. I agree. I think
Love packaging.
we should definitely do that. And I think, how else do you get luxury? It's things like embossing, it's gold foiling, it is, everything that we look at, possibly even in a supermarket, or the way that a label is printed will give you a very, very quick cue on whether that is a premium product, that is a budget product, the number of colors on the packaging. So I think if we're thinking about print and expanding it out to that medium, vastly important.
Brilliant. Agreed. And print isn't just static print anymore as well. And we learnt a new word, didn't we, this week, Steph? What is that new word?
So Ben and I would like to introduce the term.
It's an F word.
Okay.
Say it, Steph. You can do it.
I don't know if I can. Phygital.
Phygital. That sounds dirty.
Okay. It looks dirty when you write it down. Phygital, for those who are wondering, is the combination of I don't even know if I can explain it.
It's where physical meets digital.
Yes.
Phygital. It's the worst word ever, but we said it.
Okay. So what that means is you take a static medium in print and then you add something like a QR code, or you add or don't add the QR code.
I love a QR code. I love a QR code.
Yeah, thank you. Right. So what that does is you're basically allowing somebody to then shoot off and have a digital experience as a result of seeing something in print. I think, again, we go back to street posters. Perfect example, perfect place to actually put a QR code. You want to know more? Here you go. Here's some information. Things like augmented reality. There was a Burger King actually did an amazing example of this. Are you familiar with the Burn That Ad campaign?
Oh, I've heard about it.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, it was back in 2019 actually, so it was a while ago. You would scan a competitor's ad and it would basically put that ad into flames in a virtual reality kind of world, and then it would give you a voucher for a Whopper. So it was like, yes. And I think Burger King, because of their place in the market, they've often done really aggressive anti-competitor campaigns. That seems to be part of their shtick, I think, a little bit. But yeah, what a great example of Phygital.
Indeed. Speaking of 2019, one of the best things to come out of COVID was actually QR codes. QR codes have been around for a while, but it was those check-in QR codes that kind of got all of the boomers and everyone else using QR codes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, for a while there, we thought that maybe the QR code was dead. There's a place for it. And again, another place that it's really important to have print is if you're in the world of events. If you are physically in the world of events, now you might not want to be going and handing out flyers to everybody, because that just kind of, you come home from an event and, you've got a tote bag full of pieces of paper. But having said that, if you can have a QR code on your stand that then, turns it into a digital experience that can go away and come back, I think that's an awesome use of print. And let's not forget about the business card.
Oh, we love a business card. And business cards have changed as well. So there is a trend for, you can get all sorts of business cards, embossed, glossy, printed, and then there's also these business cards that are essentially you just get one business card, like one
Yes.
physical heavy card, and that card either has a QR code on it or it has an NFC chip in it, so you can kind of
Yes.
tap it against your phone. And it's great. Again, a physical representation of a brand.
I got, so really interestingly, when I was at Enviro, we had to have those cards. We were not allowed, again, back to this whole anti-print, which I'm not against, but we had one of these, it was called a KISS card, same thing, and it had a chip in it. But then I got, very rarely was I giving out business cards when I was working in a large corporate, very rarely. And these days you've got QR codes on your LinkedIn if you really want to connect with somebody. But I joined a business group, and the premise of joining the business group was you had to turn up with 20 or 30 business cards. Otherwise, you actually kind of didn't get business. So I specifically had to get business cards done so I could join this business group.
Was that BMI?
Yes, it was. BNI, not BMI. BMI. So Friday, guys, you're getting Friday, Steph and Ben. Oh, and so the other thing I was going to say, actually, you couldn't do a below-the-line activation in a supermarket or in a liquor store or in a retail store without print, Ben. Where would those flanners go?
Exactly.
Do you know what a flanner is?
No, tell us.
So a flanner is a
Is it
long...
Phygital?
No,
Is it
it's physical. So a flanner is some made-up term for that supermarkets use, and it's those, they're like a fin, but they're long and thin, and they're like a banner. So if you next time you go into the supermarket, have a look, and if you're like even in the chill department or down an aisle, there'll be these long, skinny kind of banners. They might be about that kind of wide, and they're advertising something. So often with a new brand. So if you're really lucky, you'll brand block in a supermarket, and you'll be surrounded by a flanner. Things like wobblers. I
love a wobbler.
Love a wobbler or a flanner, and it's Phygital.
Is that a good impression of a wobbler, Steph?
Yeah, I think that's the direction. A wobbler goes, God. Yeah, well, exactly. And so
where do you put your wobbler, Steph?
Next to the product that needs to be sold, Ben. That's where I put my wobbler. We're hanging out to make it episode 12, everybody. So anyway, my point is, really interesting that because I have spent a lot of time in this grocery world, the one thing I will say about printed items, and it does really grate me, so printed materials are expensive. They are way more expensive. So you can take $100,000 and do a digital campaign, and you can get a hell of a lot of reach with that. You take $100,000 and you print a whole bunch of display bins and things to go in store. The really unfortunate thing is that you often, once you've done a bin and you put it into a range of supermarkets, they don't get recycled. Now, I kind of understand why, in that when you're running a supermarket, that person's not paid to pack your stuff down, put it neatly away, bring it out in 4 to 6 weeks' time when you might want to advertise the exact same bloody product and do a display bin. I understand that, but I do think we should be doing better because, again, there's a lot of money that goes into printing these things. When you're having an in-store experience, you actually can't get by without print.
Agreed. And similar to Phygital, I think AI has got its sticky hands on print as well, hasn't it, Steph?
Yeah, and I think, look, this is, early days, but the ability, what AI will give you, if you're a business that's looking at doing this, is micro-personalisation. So if you're overlaying your CRM database and you've got the ability to do small print runs, or you've got a format in which you can do that, and you can be hyper-personalised and targeted with those flyers and those messages that you're sending out. So yeah, it's not a space I'm that familiar with, but yes, AI has got its way into physical print.
And it has been in personalization in print has been happening for a while. If we think about mail drops from big brands, we've been personalizing things for a while, but AI just gives us that at even greater scale.
Yeah. I kind of miss the direct marketing department of a business.
Bring it back, Steph.
Fine. Yeah. So I think, look, in summary, I do think there are some sustainability things to think about in the printed space, but by no means is print dead by any stretch of the imagination. And I think it depends on where you are sitting, what market you're in. Things like even in B2B, brochures, for example. I don't know that you necessarily want to go back to a PDF every time you want to get the specs on something. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so print is big in B2B. B2B relies a lot on events as well. So at that event, there will be posters with QR codes. There will be catalogues full of the products that you're selling. Yeah, catalogues are still big as well. They're big in B2B and B2C. Where you've got, again, where you want to cut through, where you want to have a reference point that sits on someone's desk. If they're always ordering the same things, again, cut through better than your website potentially.
Well, the thing is, it's got longevity, right? So another really great tactic. So recruitment consultants. This will sound like a weird thing that they're into print, but I've dealt with So the recruitment's really tough. It's a tough game at the moment. How do recruiters build trust? They'll often put out a report, and so that report will be kind of a state of the nation, or this is what's happening in your industry, and this is what thought leaders are saying, and I've definitely met a few recruitment firms who have gone round to their clients and said, let me sit down with you. I'm going to take you through this report. It'll be salary bands, things like that. And it's a leave behind. Now, that's a great piece of ongoing advertising. It's sitting on your desk, just sort of looking at you until the next time you need to hire someone. So those things, if you want top of mind or ongoing brand recall, I think print is an excellent way to get that over and above. Like digital is really fleeting. So I'm a big fan of having a well-rounded marketing plan, but print will give you some things that digital last longer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Lasting long is what we want to do, especially when we're promoting a brand. Similar to this Human Digital t-shirt that I'm wearing at the moment. Can you see?
Yes, that's right. Printed merchandise. That's exactly
right.
We
love printed merchandise. Drink bottles, t-shirts. They have to be tasteful, and they have to...
Like this stupid drink bottle that I have.
I love it. It looks like Frank Green, but no, it's a Human Digital drink bottle.
And it's so big, it does not fit in my little cup holder anyway.
Yeah, so again, things that last. And if you're doing merch, I would say make sure that it's aligned with your brand. High quality, if you're a high quality brand, have merchandise that is representing the quality that you want.
Actually, that's another whole thing. Weirdly, this is turning into a sustainability thread kind of running through this. I fundamentally, my own personal view, I have such an issue with crap that has a logo on it. Please don't give me a USB fan as a Christmas present.
Okay, noted.
I did not.
Is off the Christmas list for a USB fan.
I'm not interested. I think you've got to be really choiceful about the branded kit that you give people, because otherwise it's going to end up in landfill. And I think they do feel really, really strongly about that. I think pens, I can't tell you how many stolen branded pens I have sitting in my office. I have a lot. Notebooks. This is a MediaWorks notebook. There we go.
Nice. Do you use it?
Yep. So there you go. So yeah, I think branded merch is another really good way to get your brand out there and have longevity, but really think carefully about its use case and the message that you're sending for your brand.
Agreed.
Awesome. So next week. So we're picking up on the theme of print. We're going to go into packaging, which I'm really excited about. There's so many trends to jump into here. Yeah. Steph's obsession with Tiffany. I'm going to talk a little bit about... I'll bring my box. I'll bring blind my boxing. Yeah, I'll bring a couple of boxes that are my favorites. So super excited to talk about. Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack in that, because actually I see what you did there, Steph. But it can make such a big... It can make or break. I actually think, honestly, it can make or break your brand. So yeah, that'll be a good one. Join us next week where we unpack packaging on Canned, the marketing podcast. And maybe slightly fewer stories about our first ever jobs, and we'll try and keep it on track a bit more. Well, Steph, have a great weekend. You too, Ben. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. See ya.